everybody. So happy to have you with us for the ILSS online series. Today, we're going to be talking about education. The topic today is reimagining education in a post COVID world. And we have with us Shaheen Mistri, who's the CEO at Teach for India, along with Raghavendra, Rehan, and Sayukta, two kick ass kids, three of them, sorry. Really thrilled to have Shaheen with us. Uh, Shaheen needs no introduction. We all know that she set up Akanksha Foundation at a very young age, and then since 2008, she's been leading Teach for India. She's easily among the most recognized faces, in education reform in India right now, and we couldn't be more thrilled to have her. But I'm also very, very excited, perhaps more excited to have our three kid revolutionaries from Teach for India's Kids Education Revolution movement. Just wanted to make sure I got that right. So welcome to all of you, Raghavendra, Sayukta, and I'm sorry, Rehan. Thank you so much for joining us. Shaheen and kids, over to you now.
Thank you so much, Nikita. Welcome, everybody. I'm just going to take a second to share my screen. Great. So it's absolutely lovely to be here for many, many reasons, but especially close to my heart. This is the first time I've done a session with these three beautifully inspiring human beings who are my co-facilitators today. So very, very excited to be here with them. Before we start, just a hope that all of you are doing well in these difficult times, that you're able to stay positive, that those around you are safe. Really hoping that this is a little bit of a space to step back from all that is difficult in the world right now, and really think about what if. So with that, we're gonna launch in. And I'm going to request Sanyukta to read this beautiful quote that my dear friend Anu, who's a board member and partner in my work, sent me recently. And I thought it was very, very beautiful for these times. So Sam, over to you.
Thank you. Our pre-corona existence was not normal, other than we normalized greed, inequity, exhaustion, depletion, extraction, disconnection, confusion, rage, hoarding, and hate. We are being given the opportunity to stitch a new garment, one that fits all of humanity and nature. What we have been forced to leave behind, we need to leave behind. What is getting us through is what we will need to take forward. All the rest is up to us. Dream while you have so much time. Dream of the life you want. Dream of the world you desire to exist in. Look for the places in your new dreams that have parts of the world and remove them. What is a dream then? From there, we can add to the collective weaving of whatever it is that is next. If you're gonna heal, let it be glorious. By Sonia Rennie Taylor.
Thank you so much, Sam. And so today is really about dreaming. Today is about active weaving of whatever it is that is next. To borrow from another dear friend of mine, Craig, from the American School, who recently did a webinar where he showed this image and he said times a little bit like being in the middle of a dark tunnel. And when you're in a dark tunnel, the important thing is to be able to see through the tunnel to the light. So again, today our space is a little bit about what is it going to take to stop in the dark tunnel and to look and to dream of the light. So really, this is the objective of this session. What if we reimagined education with our students? And for that reason, I have three co-facilitators. They're going to quickly introduce themselves, and we're going to start with Raghav. Go ahead.
Uh, yeah, am I audible?
Yes. Yes.
Hi everyone, my name is Raghavendra Yadav, and I'm fighting for a more equitable world, a world where I fight for uplifting the voices of the marginalized and for those people who are the bottommost ranks in the society. Yeah, looking forward to this session.
Thanks, Raga. Rehan.
Yeah. Hello everyone. Good evening. My name is Rehan, and I basically fight for safe spaces for students and kids, and for excellent education. So hope this session will be very fruitful, and I'll enjoy this session, and I'll go with lot of learnings. Hope to, yeah, done.
Thanks, Rehan. Sorry, you all, I lost connection for a minute. Sam, over.
Hello, everyone. I'm Samyukta, and I'm fighting for creating safe spaces for everybody, and I'm also fighting for equal opportunity to all. Thank you.
Thank you. And when we were preparing for this session, I asked the kids, how do you want to introduce yourself? And had this beautiful idea that we want to introduce ourselves by telling you what we stand for, what we fight for. So that's our kids. We're going to start with just a little bit of listening. And the question that I'm putting to the kids on your behalf is, what has your journey over the past 3 months been? And what we're trying to understand here is, from students, what have the biggest challenges been? What are the things that we need to think about going forward in education, because we have a deeper understanding of those challenges? Yes, if you can share a little bit of the challenges, maybe Sam, you can start us off.
So the journey over the past 3 months has been mostly like a roller coaster ride, where the downs of the ride have been mostly like the difficulty of like creating like a healthy boundary between like my work hours and my rest hours, and also like feeling these like moments of like discouragement, and like also feeling like totally hopeless. And I think that it has been a challenge to like mostly navigate through these times, and then actually try to find hope in what I'm doing. And the ups have been that I have like actually got the time to be with my family, and like reach out to the friends, and I have got the time to actually reflect and do things that I love. And yeah, thank you.
Beautiful. Rehan, over to you.
Yeah, so these 3 months has been amazing to me. I have learned so much in this 3 month, and this is the 3 month in my life which I will be never forgetting. I used to every night think what is going to happen next, as I was seeing situation in my community that people are not taking coronavirus very seriously. Children's, they are easily sending the children out to play in big groups and big groups, and parents actually they coming out and basically don't following social distancing, and this all thing was going on. And on the other side, when it was locked down, people were actually not having food because they were not able to go to work. And basically in the area which I live is the majority of population is Muslim, and lot of people uh, work clothes and other things. So when these things work has been stopped, for people it was very difficult to survive, and lot of things was happening. So I had lot of challenges, lot of up and down in my life in this 3 months. And there were nights when I used to think what would be next, what would be happening, as I was seeing people actually near to my area actually suiciding for food, actually because he was not able to afford that, because he was not able to see his children without without eating food and sleeping. I used to think a lot, and then there were some moments at the night I was very proud to help people and basically see smiles on their face actually. Because when you see smile on someone's face and when you are helping them, and automatically you get a smile on your face actually. So there has been a lot of challenges, lot of up and down, and there are moments when I learned so much that why food is very important. At this time I realized that what is the meaning of food actually. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And Rehan is our youngest panelist. I think, Rehan, you're 12 years old.
Right.
How old are you?
12.
12. So Rehan is 12. He is already running learning centers in his community. He's lobbying with the government to remove a massive garbage dump where his community is. And more recently, he's been very involved in relief efforts. So great to have you with us, Rehan.
Thank you,
Sagar,
Didi.
over to you.
Quite wonderful, Rehan. Picking up from you, I think my this past 3 months for me have been very exhaustive, full of stress. I just cannot forget a day where I was into trouble. I was into a lot of problems. So I too come from a community in Bombay. I come from the slum community in Jogeshwari, where it's like we have like 10 by 20 feet rooms, and all of these rooms, so within a 1 kilometer square area you see almost 10,000 people living in. So there you cannot have social distancing at all. We also had the problems were so big for us, like most of us was daily wages in the community, and we are the ones which we were hit hard by the virus. And I think I feel that these 3 months had been the biggest difficult times in my life I've ever faced. Like we had like organizations that were supporting us through food packets, and we were relying on that. And I'm not just we, like the whole community was doing that. And I also remember, like just we don't have toilets in our house, so we use public toilets. So that was a huge risk. Like even if like one person gets affected by the virus, then the whole community goes under, like under affection. And people there also not taking the, like taking care, like proper care, so that they are reducing the amount of damage that is done with that. And just that I felt like when I used to I write diaries every day. So when I used to write diaries every day, I used to write hashtag corona fight versus food fight. What this means is that for us, like uh, i mean uh, there were people in the community who were like who said that it's okay for us if we die with the virus, but we cannot let us family die with food. And I think it just made me realize the amount of inequality in terms of basic facilities we have in our world today. And yeah, we will be talking more about the work that we have been doing in the community later. But like these 3 months have been unforgettable for me. A lot of learnings, a lot of challenges too. Right now, I'm back in my village. We had to leave the community because it was very unsafe there. And we were lucky to leave the community, and right now I'm good and safe in my village.
Thank you, Raghav. It's beautiful to hear you share. And I think the last bit about these times have shown us inequality in a new and even more obvious way. Because while, of course, Corona has affected every single person in the world, it has affected some people more than others. So thanks for pointing that out, because I think it makes the work of education and the work of basic care in the country that much more important. So as we ask more kids, these were some of the challenges that we were hearing from the ground, like lots of misinformation, negativity, space constraints, like what do? I heard just a heartbreaking story of a family of 9 who actually were in 3 different shifts, so they had enough space at home, but now they're all locked down at home. Raghav talked a lot about food. Kids, of course, very worried about what's going to happen with schools, uncertainty about exams, a lot of domestic violence going up, anxiety about livelihood. And then, of course, for our kids, lack of access to technology. So while higher income schools could pivot immediately to online, it's been a challenge for us to figure out how to get that access to our kids. And this is a slide from a dear friend's organization, Antarang, which I also thought was so interesting, like asking, these are young adults now, how they're actually spending their time and what they're getting actually stressed by. So we wanted just to start with that to set the context of like needs to shift in education because of the challenges that our kids are actually facing. So would love you to go to the chat box, and we're going to do this a few times in the sessions, and just type out any questions at this point that you have just around like challenges or anything that the students have said so far. So just take about the next 20, 30 seconds to type any thoughts that have come out of what the students have said right now, or anything more that you would like to know about their current reality. And we know it's just the start of the session, so if you want to hold questions till later, that's fine as well, but I'll give people just a few seconds in case people just want to type thoughts at this moment. There's a beautiful question. Maybe I'll give this to Raghav. How have you kept yourself motivated through this time? Just a short answer. Yeah, it's another one from Amit also. How do you stay positive? How do you stay motivated? Raghav?
I mean, I am generally a very positive person, but when you think of it in practical life, it's not very easy to stay positive in these times. I think from my childhood, I've been facing problems, and I just have learned one thing, that is, no matter what situations will become good at one moment in your point. And when you start feeling negative, like what I believe with negativity is that you need to accept the negative side of you. You need to accept the way you are. I think when you start accepting your negativity around you, and not you try not to fight with it, I think that's when you just feel that this is the way you are. And whenever I feel, I think negative, I think of the most weakest person I've ever met, and I think that just makes me realize my situation much better at this point. And yeah, I mean, this would be a very crisp answer. Just accepting the negative side of your, not trying to deal or fight with it. And yeah, you'll be positive and just hoping for the light at the end of the tunnel.
Beautiful. Someone's written a very sweet comment that he hopes that the positivity in you is more contagious than the virus. So thank you for that, Aman. Sam, over to you, because I know safe spaces are very close to your heart. There is a question on, have you felt listened to at this time? Have you felt heard? Have you had somebody to talk to? Could you share?
So yeah, and like in these situations right now, like with like what is happening in the US right now, or what's been happening online, and it's just like so much of content that I like came across, and I kind of became really uh, like really hopeless, and I was just thinking that what is happening in this year right now, and like why is it so negative right now? But I think that something that's like kept me going is like reaching out to my friends and family, and like just having like some conversations with like some of these friends, and actually like trying to figure out ways to like help each other. And we have been also planning to like actually start a project which will be focused around creating dialogue spaces, like virtual dialogue spaces for like kids or adults to like come together and actually talk about what they're facing, and actually have a space to open up and express what they're feeling in these times and what we could do to support each other. So I think that listening to each other and like reaching out is really important right now.
Yeah. And Rehan, a question for you about how easy or difficult was it for you to adapt to online? Like not going to school, learning online. And there's a really difficult question that's come in that for children in your community who do not have smartphones or tabs, how can we get learning to them? And let Rehan start with that. And if either of you want to add to that, because I know people are very curious about virtual learning, how is it impacting you, and how do we get virtual learning to everybody?
Yeah, so I think as children don't have smartphone or connection, like don't have internet, so they can have online classes, and online classes for children also whosoever have access, for them it has been very difficult because they don't know how to use it. And first I think for them, the children who have access to the internet or who are using online classes, but they are not knowing what to do at what time and and they don't know how to use it. We can just make a video for them explaining them that if you want to ask question, you can do this or this. And the children who don't have access to internet and they don't have smartphone, for them we can just make sheets. What I think, one of the persons with wearing everything, being careful and basically being safe, he can go, and basically at one day he will be he should focus on one concept like math or English. He should do some work and show that this is this and this introduction and all of this, and then he should and the second page he should give an introduction. So every day he can just go and door to door, he can just put the papers and come out. From this way I think we can manage for some time. Sometime we can let children study, but right now it would be really difficult to do that, what I think, making sheets and everything, but we can do it actually.
Thanks. Raghav, do you want
Can
to add
I?
anything to that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking of that same. So I think how so all of us like in the slum community, living in Bombay slums, at least one thing that is there is that you at least have one smartphone in the house, and so we have been using that resource to have students. We basically we I along with my teachers, Teach for India fellows, we've started an online learning platform called Clay, uh, and it is like and we've been teaching students virtually with like we've been involving more fun sessions. We've been trying to make education virtually more fun and more it's so that students are engaged more. And I think the digital divide is always going to be there. And I think what this pandemic has done is that the learning gap between underprivileged and a privileged times in India already around 10 years, already before the pandemic. I think this is going to be ever increasing. But what Teach for, Teach for Kenya or Teach for Nigeria, what they are doing is they are making this, I think they're making this books come like some papers where they courier it to students through like people, and they've been trying to reach out to. So I think that can be done for students who are underprivileged or don't have access to any digital platform. And like in the so we are a part of a committee that is MCGM committee, which is Bombay School Management Committee, where Saindiri had put up the same question where we were meeting the commissioner of Bombay. And what came out was like that we can also we should make tablets like digital uh, platforms as a basic right to also students, because of the ever fast growing world. I think that is being there. And yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful idea. Okay, I know there are more questions, but we're going to keep going in the interest of time, and we're going to move to what we really wanted to talk about, which is not the challenges, but the dream, and the what if. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of a background of where this idea came from. These are my two very dear friends, Sucheta and Vishal, from a beautiful organization called Dream a Dream. And in a recent conversation with them, they pushed me to understand this beautiful idea that they came up with called What If? And they said that right now, this is the time for us to pause. And to pause is not an inaction, but a pause enables us to imagine a new reality. So really, these difficult times will be worth it if the light at the end of that tunnel looks very, very different from the reality that we knew before. So inspired by Sucheta and Vishal, we decided to do this session today around what if, to get all of us together to dream boldly about what could education really look like. If there were no constraints, if there was no status quo, like what could education really look like? So back to our kids again, I asked them the same question. What is your what if in education? Over to you, kids. Sam, to you first.
Yes. So, like, what my what if was that what if education was just beyond textbooks, and it was about like experiential learning, and it was about applying my learnings in the outside world. And what if education was also about like building values, which would actually help me and like my friends in life? And what if it was more holistic, and it was more also focused on like mental health and physical health? And what if it was not like only accessible to the most privileged class of the society, and it was not that that the more you pay the better education that you get? And I think that it is supposed to be about like every kid getting a wonderful education no matter what their background. And what if education was designed and led by both teachers and students? So these were my what ifs, and I really hope that this is the way that education gets designed and it becomes more engaging for both students and teachers. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sam. And like, what really stood out to me was Sam's like a huge believer in safe spaces and bringing people together with values. And she has an incredible project that she's not spoken about yet that she is working on to spread menstrual health and hygiene within her village in Nasik. But this idea of being a channel for unity, Sam, is extremely powerful. That how does, I mean, I feel like we've seen unity through this crisis in beautiful glimpses. And what would it look like for us increasingly to be united as people and to be one? So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, so I'll go next with my what if.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Didi. So I'll be little quick. So I have what if. So what if every student would get a chance to decide what we want to do or subject they want to choose to learn actually? What if every teacher would be like a partner towards students? What if every student are not judged on their status or their mark sheet? Because as I see a lot of students are judged on their mark sheet, I think this should be not happening. Teachers should not be judging on the mark sheet actually. What if scores are not compared with learnings? What if teachers and students don't take religion seriously? because as I see, religion every time has been taken very seriously. But now, as I see, lot of people don't take religion seriously, but there are some people who take religion seriously. That he belongs to that religion, that you should not sit with him or you should not learn with him. So yeah, I'm done. This is my what if. Thank you.
Thank you, Rehan. Sorry, I'm struggling a little bit with my internet today. Raghavendra.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think I would like to start with like I'm very grateful for having a voice. I'm very grateful for to share my what if even here. And I think I feel that first question that I would ask would be like, what if we believe that, I mean, what if education had gotten all students to have voice and to share their opinions, they could share their problems. And right now the reason why we see I mean I would say definitely for sure that a failed education system in India is because what the teachers these teachers are those who have not chosen education or being a teacher as their first profession. So I think what if education being a teacher was the first preference of students. And also, what if we use education as a means of social uplifting and social upbringing, and not as a mean for creating individual privileges that we are doing. I mean, in the current reality, I've written a recent article on that. I'll share the link in the chat box soon. And then if education, if we are able to, like, we pursue higher educations, and there are a lot of people who pay money and they go for it. And what if we just have merit that would allow us to go for higher education, go to learn much more better, and quality education was just not standard to only those who had the power of these whatever you say, these notes or money. And yeah, I think right now, the kind of world that we live in, though we can say that there have been a lot of inequalities, but for me the major inequality has been in education. That is, education should be a basic right, not a luxury, not a privilege. I think I believe that. And the way we, all of us in the world, have created it, we can say it, we can call it a business, we can call it, the richest priority preference. I'll share the link of the article of what if we understood the real purpose of education, which was not just to create your own, getting your own life better, but also as a being. So there's this thing that I talk about, that you need to question your purpose of education. You need to question yourself, that are you educated or you have been studying. There's a Hindi phrase that I use for that, ki tum shikshit ho ya tum bas padhe ho. Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you. And I'm going to share a few of my thoughts in it. But before that, we went out and listened to more children and their what ifs. So enjoy a 30-second video that has more what ifs from students.
Shaheen, are you still with us? Shaheen, I'm sorry, the video was not visible. Will it be possible to maybe play it again?
Sure. Sorry, I thought it was, I'm able to see it. Let me just try and play it again. Um, this will stop. There's,
Shaheen, I'm just going to share screen and I'll show the video.
thank you. Yeah. Thank you. So just to share a few thoughts, and sorry about that disruption. I'm so happy the kids' internet is working, and I just seem to have perpetual problems with my internet. So apologies for that. But when I thought about the what ifs, and this one actually builds directly off what Raghavendra was sharing, the first starting point seems to be, what if we change the purpose of education and expand it from myself and what do I want to be and what job do I want to get, to also how do I choose to be with others in the world? How do I respect them? How do I love and care for them? And lastly, the purpose of education needs to be, how can I make the world better? So what if the purpose of education encompass self, other, and world? Next slide, Devishna. What if the content we taught kids, the culture we built in our classrooms, and the opportunities actually built what we call the 8 C's? Imagine if kids left our schools courageous and curious about the world, conscious about who they were, creative enough to solve any problem using critical thinking, able to communicate in the way that you see the 3 students on this panel able to communicate with such confidence and authenticity and clarity. What if our students were compassionate? What if they learned to work together? Aren't these the skills that we should really be building in education? So that's my second what if. What if, and I think Sam referred to this a little bit earlier, what if partnership between an educator and a student and change making really defined education? Each of the students shared, and maybe I'll ask Sam to come back on and share a little bit about her project as well. They think of themselves as change makers. They learn through solving and caring about something that they really want to change in the world. And so, Sam, maybe can you come back on and just share a little bit about what does partnership mean to you, and how have you been a change maker with your project?
So actually, I have been working on several projects in the past year. And one which was the closest to my heart was the one which I did in my native place at Nasik, and it was in a low income government school where I was actually working with my sister and my friend, and where we were creating awareness about menstruation and about empowering girls towards like a better future, and like making them think more about their education and leadership. And we just want to actually spend time with them and get to know that what their needs were, and something that we could do to actually like maybe empower them or something in like any way. And I think that the main role over there was not only the girls or us, but it was also the teachers over there who actually helped us like so much. And they were really engaged in actually wanting to help the girls, and they were really engaged in like creating a change with the girls. And that was really inspiring, because what I had heard from like so many people was that was that the teachers may not really be interested, and like they won't really care. But when I went there, and when I found that they that like they were so invested, I was really inspired, and that really like I think became like a really major point, and like a stepping stone to actually help us do things faster, when teachers also helped out, and when they were also equally passionate about their students and about creating a change. So I think that partnership really matters, because education is not just built alone, but it's built together by both students and teachers.
Thanks, Sam. I think Raghavendran wants to add something to that. Go for it.
I think when I think of partnership, so there's this principle in Kenya that we operate as students and educators both working together, working as partners. I think this is only possible when we think education as not just meant for the students, it's meant for the both development of the teacher as well as the students. When we think with that broader perspective, I think we are able to understand the idea of partnership into much deeper aspect. And just that in Teach for India, I think I've seen the fellows that have taught us. I've been with Teach for India for the last 7 years, and I think I've seen the fellows that have taught us. They have gone through their self transformation. They have enabled them to like push themselves to I think when we look at partnership as with that lens, when we see education not being just meant for students and being just like overall development for the teachers too, I think that's when we open the door for the idea of partnership to grow up.
Yeah, I'll just give you one more like live example of partnership that happened right now. I think Raghavendra saw my getting a little bit like frustrated with my internet because it kept hanging. And he sent me a private message right now to say, Didi, I really love you, but I really think you need to take care of yourself a little bit more. And thank you, firstly, Raghavendra, for that. But these are like, I think, the small acts of care and partnership that we need between educators and students, because this is a difficult job. Devisha, next slide. My final and newest and biggest thing that I'm thinking about right now, what if blended learning, right? So by blended learning, I mean not just traditional classroom teaching, but also making the virtual classroom your classroom, was the digital equalizer and the new normal going forward. You see, we've always accepted that kids in high income schools will get better quality teachers, better quality resources. But now with the virtual world, it's a huge equalizer. If we can just focus, like Raghavendra said a little bit earlier, on making hardware available to all of our kids and make that investment and work with parents and kids and governments and private companies to make that investment, then really a master teacher sitting anywhere in the world can be teaching today millions of children. And so all kids can have the access to absolutely top quality learning. So that is my final what if, and you probably heard lots of overlaps between what the students said and what I said, because everything that I believe today has been shaped by listening to and observing children. Devasha. So we're going to stop, go back to the chat window. And again, just a pause here. I know you've been typing in the chat window as we've been speaking, but any questions for the students, anything that touched you, anything that challenged you, anything you disagree with, just take a few seconds, and we'd love to have as many people as possible just share what's on your mind right now in the chat window. So there's a question, Raghavendra and Rehan, for you on how you visualize blended learning happening. There's a beautiful question on how do we get to these goals? These are all beautiful dreams, but how do we get there? So maybe let's start with those two questions. Like, how do we make blended learning happen? And how do we get to some of these what ifs? Like, where do we start? Who wants to start us off?
I think I can take that.
Go. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so I mean, we have been working with the students. We've started free online classes, and this was a challenge for us also to like, how do we make education blended and fun, enjoying, and creative learning for the students. So what we did, and that this will take a lot of time. It will take a lot of time to think and plan for just a 1 hour class. We do a 1 hour class for students of 3. So we run it for 11th and 12th grade in the Teach for India alumni of Bombay, and we do it with 7 schools. And what we realized is that just to put in 1 hour fun and interacting class, you need to put almost 10 hours. And our fellows have been doing it considerably, like to make it happen, we give feedbacks from to the students once they're done it, so that the class looks like their way. And in between the classes, we have these fun activities such as recognizes picture and who's just like fun so the students don't get bored. And when you think of online classes, you don't think just you have to go to the screen and you start screen sharing. You'll do a nice ppt done and the classes are done. No, you need to keep a lot of things in mind. How do you the most biggest problem I think on online platform is that how do you encourage the most like the lower order students who are not open even in the classrooms? How are you going to encourage them here at this platform? I think until now we've been doing great with the classes, and I think I felt very relatable to that question, so I felt like sharing.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring Rehan in, and Rehan, I'm gonna ask you a really difficult question that's come into the chat box, but to me it's a very intriguing question. If we make education the same for everybody and kids went to the same schools, would it not lead to more frustration from underprivileged kids, because they would know that some kids have more resources than others, and when they went home, their realities were very different? So how would we deal with that?
Yeah, Didi, could you just repeat?
Yeah, I know, it's a difficult question. So the question is, supposing rich kids and kids from poorer backgrounds went to school together, would that lead to more frustration for kids from lower income backgrounds, because they would know that some kids have more things than them? After school, the opportunities are different, the homes are different. How would we deal with that frustration, and would it be worth it?
Yeah, so I think some kids who would have more resources or more equipments using in class, it's not their fault actually to have that. But how we can stop the lower income children who are attending the same school actually, to them we can actually basically train them how to adapt in the situation actually, and basically how to be compassionate towards everyone. Because as you see the resources, one day he is given the resources, we can also try to as the rich students who are having more resources, we can just take all resources. If they are earning like they are basically giving permission, we can take all resources and we can just put it in the middle, that anyone can use that resources if they are agree with that. And hope, I think, towards their classmate, of course they will not say no, but I'm not sure. But if we could do that, whosoever wants to use that, they can use. And second, if there are like two people who are fighting for the same thing, we can just make like for this and this time, for this subject, this boy or this girl will be using this equipment and this equipment. I think that will be one of the solutions. And second solution, I think, as children have money, extra money, like they spend on different things, and like we all can, if I would be a part of that, like imagine if we are in the same school and there are rich people also, like who are having more resources actually, and I'm one of the poor, not poor actually, but I'm having less resources. I can just think that we can make a box or something, donating box, we can just donate every week. Doesn't matter if it is 1 rupee also, doesn't matter it is 100 also, and we can buy resources for everyone actually.
Thanks, Rehan. I think Raghavendra wanted to add something.
I mean, first thing that I would do with that question is I would take the resources part out. That is, you can have everything and you can still do nothing, and you can have just one thing and you can do a lot of things. I think what we need to think in that term is when students are having access to that kind of education, I think then they don't need to think about the resources, and they would understand, like they would have that this see that we talk about in KR, that consciousness, see that we understand our harsh realities, but are we being constrained from them? Are we using as an opportunity to step up? I think if we are having a good quality education and a good, I mean, a same kind of everything for us, I think then we'll have our students, at least the first basic thing that is there is they are getting one resource, that is education. And we don't you don't need physical resources to I mean, physical resources can be created with by you by using yourself. And I think education is all you need to do anything. Like I feel very fortunate to be here just because of education. And I think it's just that if you're having a good good thoughts in my mind, all you need is values and virtues to create up your own resources. Because this I mean, it's very simple. Like someone can create something very big from a trash, and someone can have everything, and that just can be lying out there, right there.
Thank you. Okay, Devisha, let's keep going. Um, and now it's your turn, participants. Devisha, next slide. So now we'd love everyone to go to the chat box. You knew we were going to ask you this question. And now it's your chance to share with our students and with me, what is your what if for education? So what is your dream for education? And just put it in the chat box, and let's just take the next 2 to 3 minutes to hear what each other are, what we're dreaming for education. I love this idea. What if children had the freedom to innovate and make a difference to the world? What if all children could be like these 3 children? What if education could really tell me where my true potential lay? What if every child had equal opportunities to pursue their dreams? What if students and teachers were considered as equal? Oh, these are such beautiful thoughts. What if we raised more emotionally strong students than academically strong students? What if education was not limited to a few years in someone's life? Holistic education, inclusion of all children, kids going to the same schools. What if education always remained engaged like a super duper game? I love that. What if all kids had a safe space free of child abuse and sexual molestation? What if everybody was involved in design for change and was able to be a change maker? What if kids studied because they loved learning? What if compassion was the most important value? What if money was not even a factor in education? So beautiful. What if kids designed their own school? That's a beautiful idea. What if kids looked forward to going to school every day? What if teachers became the best buddies that they ever had? What if teaching was a change-making platform, not just a profession? What if every citizen could be a teacher once in their life? Ah, such beautiful dreams on this call. What if there was no school? What if education was full of joy, love, laughter, caring? What if students learned from their peers, not from an authoritarian teacher? What if school and home was the same? What if children learned what they wanted to learn? What if education was about equality for all? What if there was no school but just learning and we learned everywhere? What if children were taught they have a voice and that their voice matters? What if kids could pursue the subject of their choice? What if teachers could teach students and students could teach teachers? What if students were free from examination pressure? What if there was free education for all? If education was not a competition? Oh, I'm sorry. There's so many that I'm not able to read out every single one, but they're so beautiful. Only learning. I love that. Okay, Devisha, let's go on. And please keep typing them. But we wanted to end with, from moving from what if to what is today, and to share a little bit of like the joy and magic that we are seeing already so many teachers and students doing in and beyond our community. So I'm going to ask Sam to come back and read. This is the last part of a poem written by her sister, who's another incredible young woman like Sam. Sam, would you come on and read this for Soumya?
Yes, thank you. What is not confined is our prayers, our wishes, and our hopes. Is us checking in with our loved ones. Is us extending a helping hand to those less fortunate. Is you finally, and maybe in a long time, for the first time, checking in with yourself.
I think the reason I wanted to show this is because we've been so overwhelmed by the care that children are showing to us and to each other. And this was a beautiful, much longer poem that Soumya wrote to say, don't feel that you're stuck at home right now. Remember that there is so much that can never be isolated. There is so much that can never be quarantined. Our prayers, our wishes, our hopes, our ability to extend ourselves, and of course, our ability to look after ourselves. So I wanted to share that with all of you. Next slide, Devisha. And then here are just some beautiful examples from our network of some of the incredible things that are happening. You see students who are part of I think Raghavendra was talking about this a little bit earlier. On the bottom left, we actually are doing a lot of work with the Mumbai municipality, and you see there additional municipal commissioner Ashutosh Salil talking to students and telling them that in fact he wants to be listening to them even more and making sure that the government is listening. That was a very beautiful moment for us. And then you see 3 students here on the right who have made a video to explain to other students what flattening of the curve means, to give them hope to know that like cases will spike, but there will be a flattening of the curve. And on the top right, you see one of our Teach for India alumni, fellow alumni, who's doing a lot of work with parents to train them to be able to help their students during this time. And on the top left, you see our students who've got together to raise relief and funding for students that needed rations. So a lot of magic happening. Devisha, next slide. And then Rehan, I'd love if you can just quickly talk about the picture on the top left, because I know you were part of that special call. You want to tell everybody what it is?
So there was one of the webinar happening. Teach for All was doing a webinar, and I was just sleeping in the morning, and I just received a message from Teach for All network that we are just doing a webinar, and if you could just come and you could just speak your story, what has been your journey, and if you would be there, we would love to have you there as a guest. And first time with Teach for All, and I was very happy. And I just went and I picked up my journey and my story about my community, what is happening, current situation. And then I saw that there are a lot of people who are doing incredible work. There are fellows in London who are basically distributing ration to the children, because children are suffering for food actually. And same thing I have been also doing in my community, because as I was seeing that a lot of people are suffering for food actually. And I was just distributing ration, groceries in my community with the help of my teachers and Naresh Bhai, who runs a organization in Ahmedabad called Pana Foundation. I was just working with them, and I just shared my story over there, and I got little so much good feedback, and I got to learn new things over there. So it was just great day for me over there speaking to children. And suddenly when I received a message, and then when I spoke to when the session was finished, I suddenly came on the WhatsApp and I shared with Shaheen Didi that I just spoke on this, and I was so happy at that I was just, and continuously I am trying to attend Teach for All webinar and hope to learn more actually.
Thank you, Rehan. And that's just another example of how now the world is accessible to our students. And on this call, I think there were kids from 70 different countries on this call, all talking to each other. So that was so beautiful. And on the bottom left, you see a very different kind of example where a student, 13-year-old student, Vihana Oberoi, who's an artist, decided to paint paintings and sell these paintings and raise money for Teach for India children. And I thought it was such a beautiful example of how kids learn when children help each other. And lastly, on the right, one of our students, Safura, her very young brother, 5-year-old brother, came home crying one day because someone in the community, another child, was hungry. And the family was so moved. This is a very low-income family. but they actually got together and cooked food for 50 families and distributed it in their area because of, again, the compassion of this young child who was moved in that moment. Devisha? Okay, so the last thing we're going to do today is one of the things that we feel the happiest about. And again, like with the what ifs, we're going to ask all of you to go to that chat window and really think about something right now that you are grateful for. There are so many problems in the world. It's so hard to read the news. As if COVID wasn't enough, now the world is reeling from the George Floyd crisis, and there's just so much. But in the middle of all of that, take a moment in the chat box to think about something in this moment that you're grateful for. It can be anything at all in your life. And kids, if you can do this as well in the chat box, that would be great. So many beautiful thoughts from farmers to people around, to our education, to our families, to the speakers on the call, to the Mumbai rain right now, for our jobs, for love and support, to God, for our ability to help others, for our friends and family, for the fact that we're safe right now. Just take another minute to type your thoughts. To being with our family right now, to TFI. To our staff. Yeah, there's so much that we are grateful for, and there is, even in the most difficult times, so much abundance around us. And that's a very valuable lesson for us to learn from our children, who are always abundant, naturally abundant. So we're gonna wind up the session in a couple of minutes, but before that, I'd love to just have each of our students share any closing reflections that they have, and then would love to just keep the space open just for a few minutes if anyone else has any closing reflections that they would like to either write or to share. So can I maybe ask Sam to come on first, and anything, Sam, that you're feeling at the end of this this particular webinar, any reflections that you have?
I think that today for me was kind of a tough day with like seeing everything going on in the world right now. And like being on this call, really, like, I feel so emotional right now and just really positive to actually know that like there are people all over the world there right now willing to help each other. And just like hearing Rehan uh, and like also Raghavendra like shared their stories and like their insights has really like helped me be more positive and more hopeful, and I right now feel really really grateful to be here.
Thanks, Sam. Rehan, would you like to share your closing reflections?
Yes, this was amazing call and talking. I'm very grateful first to being a co-facilitator with Shaheen Didi and Raghavendra. And first of all, thank you so much for making all of us and actually including all of us and basically making us participate. And at this time, we all are doing this session, talking to us, and the sessions I do or I join, I feel happy because when I join session and when I see people talking, asking question, I basically get a clear idea that people are safe actually, and that is something that makes me happy that people are actually safe. So thank you so much everyone for joining this, and hope you all have learned something, and today I have learned so much actually, and hope that I'll use those learnings in future. Thank you, Shaheen Didi, and thank you for arranging these calls because there are a lot of people who have worked for this call actually. So thank
Thank,
you so much.
thank you, Rehan. And
Uh,
Raghavendra, to you.
though I'm very positive, but during the past week, I've been thinking about there's so many people that even among these times, they are doing corruption. They're not letting things out. So one example that I got when we saw that that people were holding on rations in our community, and we were sending gratitude letters to them. And it just struck me that all we can do is just love. I think love can all we need to change the world is love, and I can see that love virtually flowing here. uh, and it is just making me feel very grateful to have voice, like to be able to share, because when I see so I in the night I usually teach students in the village English, and they just feel so happy. And I mean it also like that makes me understand the true value of my voice. And I feel so I think I feel privileged to be here and just share whatever I feel. And I think the moment we today, I think what happened was that we saw partnership coming live, where we as students co-facilitated this session. And then I also felt that we when we talk about helping the bottommost ranks of the people in the society, we all need to hear from them. I think that also came alive. And I think we and I will continue to I am speaking up at various platforms to get that done. And I think when we start hearing from the most bottommost people what they are actually facing, what they want the solution to be, and then the solution being made for them be and made, I think we all need to understand the difference between them. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm just going to give everyone just a few more seconds. Any last thoughts, please put them in the chat window. And with that, I want to say a very big thank you to Raghavendra, to Rehan, to the beautiful Samyukta. Thank you all so much. Thank you to all of the team at ILSS, and to all of you for taking out time to be with us. My most favorite moments were the running list of what ifs that all the participants put in the chat window. And it just reminded me that life is so difficult that often we forget to dream. And yet those dreams are so real, and we know what they are, and they just come out when we're asked. And so here's hoping that education becomes like fundamentally different and better and more beautiful, and more like all the what ifs that we shared together. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shaheen. Thank you, Rehan, Raghavendra, Samyukta. I think we've been doing this as a series of sessions and we've covered a lot of things. There are sessions in which you go away, taking a lot of facts and figures, insights about policies and this and that. But I think I speak for everyone here when I say that this session, this conversation was overflowing with love, with hope, and it's phenomenal. I just really want to congratulate the three of you because the clarity of thought, your articulation, and just your sheer vision, I think there's an audacity in that, along with this great sense of compassion for the world, a faith in humanity, in what we can all be if we work together. And that's just so fantastic. So thank you so much for making time, Rehan, Raghavendra, and Sanyukta, and you as well, Shaheen. This was so beautiful. And I hope that all four of you have been reading all the comments in the chat box because um, there's been an outpouring of love for you all. So I am going to save these messages and I'm going to share the file with you so that you can also go through it at ease whenever you have the time. But thank you. Thank you for everything you've shared today. And it gives us hope. These are bleak times, but we're feeling energized and hopeful. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Nikita, for those beautiful words. Thank you all. Bye-bye. Have a
Good
good
night,
evening.
everyone.